So I guess we are live. Good evening, everyone. It's a beautiful sunny Wednesday before Easter weekend, and I have my second webcast. And this episode, I have a very special guest with me. His name is Arto Sivonen. Hi, Arto.
Hello. Hi.
And how do we say it in Finnish? Moi. Or
moi. Kiva olla täällä.
Yeah, hyvä, että kun tulit. I have a great guest because he's not just a guest. He's my, how to say it, my door opener, my community in Helsinki, and you had a tremendous impact on my life. And thank you, Arto, for being here, and also that we've met in Helsinki. So this half an hour, I would like to focus on essentials of a community. So let's remind why I decided to do this campaign in this exceptionally difficult times in Corona pandemic. In all of our phones, let's look at this. In your mobile phone, on Facebook, we have now turned to online communities, right? And we have WhatsApp groups, we have Telegram groups, we have countless of Facebook groups we revisit. And at the end of the day, we are looking at how are countries managing crisis, how are politicians managing crisis, how are doctors managing this. And at the same time, what is coming to the bottom of it, that what keeps the same is that everyone on the planet wants to have that connection. And we feel we need to have the belonging, right? And is this through resilience, through communities that I want to recognize and to have that vision from where we stand. We can bloom where we stand. We learn how to appreciate communities, how to make it work for you, but also how to be intentional about it so that after Corona crisis, that we can come out strong, resilient, connected. We know how to change our course of life, studies, work. And so I thought to bring in people who are our invisible people that keep us going, just like you, Arto. Community leaders, builders, organizers, those who do things not always paid, but are always there to create that coming together, because we can't go out right now. Okay, in Helsinki we can, but how do we make sure that because of the physical distancing that we still can connect, can network, can build communities, and can grow it, right? So what I want to present and ask Arto is very essential to people in Helsinki, but also people in the world. What do we do? How do we grow community? Why we grow community? And what is the future of it? You know, can we change our companies, our studies, and the way we operate to spread more culture of community? Hi, everyone. So we need to say hi, Musa, hi, Roma. So that once they keep coming in here now, our visitors and guests, you're very welcome ask questions. You can also write it in Finnish or in Russian, so we will be happy to answer those. And Arto is, he has 20 years. You have 20 years of experience in different creative projects in advertising sphere. You worked and you actually make a living out of building communities. And that's fascinating because you are one of the most connected people that I know in Finland, maybe in the Nordics. You have numerous ideas. I know that in Finland, for the fact, was it half a year ago that you started this 1 million tree project?
Well, it wasn't me. I was just helping someone.
See, but you become the spirit of any community project in Helsinki. This is incredible. So, but to say the truth, there needs to be more people like Arto, and you always say that we have a lot of things going on. Like I try to build communities in Uzbekistan, in Finland, and we need to have that, how to say it, common understanding that it's not overachiever job, it's everyone's job and ability. So so the question to you, Arto, would be, what is the community and why do we need it?
Okay, big questions. I think what is community and kind of how to build those. I think the first thing is you need to kind of know yourself first. What are you looking for? Mm-hmm. What do you need? What are the kind of main values what you respect? Mm-hmm. And what do you want to learn? And all these things, it doesn't matter if it's professional world or you're private, but you need to know yourself what you're looking for. And then you can start to look for the similar people, your own people. You need to have some kind of idea of like who they are, and then look for the communities. I mean, we have lots of NGOs, we have lots of different kind of activist groups, we have different companies can be communities. The families are communities. We have different kinds of communities. It's full of, our world is full of communities. And the main point is like here, how to build them and why to build them. I think the first case is like we already are part of like numerous communities already, which is.
Can you give an example, Arto?
One community is my family, and then another community is my extended family, where my friends are in my dining table. And then I have different communities related to, let's say, some of the topics what I'm mainly interested at, like whatever is related to environmental issues or traveling, or let's say something what is happening right now in the world with the corona and all these things. If there's something, I mean, what you want to do or what you want to learn, and you need to work with the people. I mean, if you're by yourself, is not really working often. I think what you need to build a community is, I think the main issue after you know what you are by yourself and what you're looking for are the values. I mean, you need to kind of have shared values with people, and once you can find them, and you are already probably learning. I mean, what I do the most is like why I'm trying to find my people or different groups or build a group by myself. I have really selfish reasons for this, because I think I'm learning all the time from everyone.
So community is a source of learning for you, and to stay on the curve, to stay updated.
Yeah, and I think the first thing is always it should be fun. I mean, who wants to do something if it's not fun? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's your work or not, but it should be fun. And what the fun means, normally it's fun if you have right kind of people with you. You share your kind of idea of the world with them. And the fun is also pretty often if you're learning, you're kind of going forward with you and yourself and with your professional, with your skills. And then at the end of the day, sometimes I think, for example, if you have some communities which is kind of related to your work, or some value-based communities, I think super important, it's well organized. Like there are clear rules and steps what to do and what to make. So it's not too much hassling. It should be clear what you are doing. Right. You have the similar goal with the people.
So there has to be something that creates the connection. So it's maybe an interest, maybe a hobby, maybe some burning issue that you work with professionally, academically, right? Or nonprofit. So once you have that, that comes from within, then you can start and see, okay, where can you find like-minded people and to have fun with, but also learn with. We have a question here from Aykut Ozdemir. Thank you. She's asking, how about inner community by yourself? Isn't it okay to be, happy by yourself? I guess that's the question, right? Aykut.
By yourself, like you are just one person community, I mean.
Could be, no?
I don't know. I mean, normally I think we think about communities, quite often we start to think like hundreds of people, like massive movement is doing something. Well, no, I mean, it can be you and someone else, or you, three of you, or whatever. I mean, there are like a huge amount of scales and how many people can be in the community.
Right. So if you think about, okay, values is a big thing, and you also mentioned, how are values? What are the community values that you can mention? What defines a community? If maybe 2 people or 10 or hundreds?
Well, I think the values, I think those are super important, because not all the communities, how I think at least, are really good ones. Because we are quite often, the communities are helping people and supporting each other. And once we start to build communities, we have some kind of idea what to do with it.
Right.
Sometimes it's just your dining table. The point for it is just meet friends and have a good. But sometimes it's a community, some like related to, let's say, come some kind of urban movement. You have a plan, for example, idea to build a better inner yards or better, more livable cities in different kind of actions or whatever. But then we also have, as we all know, different kind of communities which are not helping people. They are hurting people. They are based on hate and on communal way of thinking, and communities, they are super strong tools also do harm. So communities itself is, I think, is not a good thing, but you can use it in so many ways.
Right. So we're focusing on community is as good as long as it doesn't hurt other people and it has inherently good actions, humanity. So with that, sharing that passion in whatever environment that is.
Yeah, and I think one thing what is super interesting, what I find super interesting is like how we can keep individual thinking inside the communities. Because like, for example, to myself, I've been always like, it's been super hard for me to be part of any kind of group which gives me orders without I can have any questions. Since I was a small boy, for me it's really hard to be in the school or go to the army or play the football with the guys or whatever. I mean, it's been somehow sometimes tough because I thought like there's some certain rules that I need to follow without I can have any questions. But I think most like valuable communities and are the ones who gives freedom of individuality for the people. And that's something also I think is what's super kind of precious in Finland. If we have communities, that's one thing what I do love in Finland is like we kind of praise individual thinking, and it's okay to have your opinion or your idea. Of course, we have problems with that also, but if you compare in some other cultures, I think this is something what we have pretty special here.
So on one hand, you see that in a community, you have to have a safe space and nobody bosses you around. You feel you have the trust and belonging. And the other thing is you still need to retain your individuality. You can have your say, you can have your opinions. But that idea, it's true, like that everyone is equal in that safe space. But I mean, I know that we see a lot on whatever media. Luckily and thankfully today, you see communities give hope, they give trust, they give this feeling of trust in each other, hope for the future. But then how do we channel these soft and big values online? And actually that's the same question with Jessie. She's asking, what do you think is the most important right now when it comes to creating communities online? And I mean, you have numerous projects where you build online communities. Could you share some of that insight?
Yeah, I think, it's a super good question because we all, I mean, not all, but quite many people been on like more online than maybe ever before. And a lot of like different kind of meetings online. And it's always easier to have those meetings and meet people if you have met them face to face before. You kind of have idea of the person. But if you don't, you need to work on it. And then I think once you are building some kind of actions where, like, let's say thousands of people are gathering somewhere in the groups or building new kind of movements together, I think there are a couple of things which are super important. Is of course first rules. You need to have rules, but to kind of which are guiding you. The rules are like ethical rules, what is good and what is not, and how we can build a group like safe to everyone. I mean, and that's important to people understand how we can behave here. And you need moderators, you need people who are guiding discussions.
Yeah,
that's important. And another thing, what I think is super important is like you need to be transparent. I mean, you should be super open with everyone, with all the discussions, with all the questions. I mean, they're not bad questions, and because you're there together. And if that goes over the line, like someone is really spreading the hate speech, okay, that's another topic. But then we need to say stop. But I mean, before that, most of the people just need a guidance, and they need the rules, and they need to understand why we are here.
Right, but I think it's also becomes right now, to add to that question, is there's a lot of communities and everyone is inviting you in, right? So there's has to be some way, some curated communities and say, okay, this is quality. We have this community, let's say international working with Finland. You have community with, women's circle or women in tech. How do you get to network and build community when you're a newcomer in Finland, let's say? And it's hard to meet face to face today. I moved here 6 years ago, and for me, the biggest competitor to meet people face to face was internet, believe it or not, because they thought we can quickly chat online. Hi, I'm Kamilla, I just moved here from Denmark. I'd like to do some events, blah, blah, blah. And they feel that fake idea of connection was online, but right now, online is all we have. Do you think the video format is a way to build that? How do you build that trust when you don't have
I think it doesn't matter what the techniques are. Well, it's a video, stills, or animations, or whatever it is. I think that's the tool. But I think the first, and I know it's super hard to anyone who is moving to the new country to find people. Of course it is, and it takes a lot of time. But I think you just need to start to look for the groups, existing groups, and the people who are with the people, and they will introduce to another people, and that's kind of the only way, get to know more folks. But if you are not building a community, it really depends what you're doing. I mean, if you, for example, you have some kind of idea to change something, I think the main thing is to be clear with your idea, write that down, and test that. Is that like something what someone else is interested at? And also have a clear goal, what you are looking for with this. What do you want to really do with it? And then you need to think like, who else do you need? You should have clear roles. If you have some certain issues what you don't know, and then you need to look for those people who knows and ask them directly, and they will come. I think that's something what is like really Finnish thing. It's like we hardly never kind of easily gather together, but we take orders. I mean, we are easily taking orders. Like if we say do this and that, we will do, and we are happy to take some orders even sometimes. I feel.
Right. So for to build a community or to actually join a community which you want to be part of, you say three things. So if you're a newcomer or you're starting something new or you want to utilize your time right now or after, how do you make community work for you? So Arto's recipes. Figure out your idea. What do you really want with it, and where you want to go? Second, you need to find out who do you need to test that idea or to share opinions. Let's say you want to have a scholarship, find a scholarship, or find a funding for your next project. Ask who is funding, right? And third, if you don't know who you need to ask on your network or whatever, Facebook. Who knows who, and do basic market research, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So three things. So you need to do a bit of homework to make the community become more intentional at building the right community, so you don't waste the time, or being more precise. Because I understand in Finland, people have the common sense is really magic here. That once you ask, you have constructively you approach a person, you will get the straight answer, yes or no. Even if it's a brutal no, you will get a brutal no. That's the trust building in Finland is like, it hits me sometimes with this shocking one-liner replies. I'm used to write like fancy emails. Hello, my name is such and such, and I've heard about you such and such. And then you write the main ask. But it's like, no, straight to the answer. That brutal honesty, it can hurt you, but it can, at the end of the day, it's really nice to know where you have the other person. Sorry?
It saves a lot of time. But I think that for the communities we're talking about, like something what is related to professional life.
Yeah.
I think what is really important now is like when the sustainable issues all the facts related to sustainability are changing every day. Related to the fashion or traveling or food or housing or energy or whatever. And also like how the media is working is changing every day. Different kind of algorithms, different kind of channels, how people are using them and what kind of words they are using. Right. So I think, for example, if you're working in that sector, you can't really have in the sector of sustainable issues or urban living or whatever is related to climate issues or human rights stuff or all these things. I think the only way how you can learn is to build a community, because you can learn these things on the school.
That's true.
Because the teachers can't really be online all the time. You can learn some basic things. You can find important own communities from the school, which is super important. Actually, I think one of the most important things when you're in school, in universities,
right.
For example, or high schools, or. But then I think if you need to find the people who knows the best, because the latest knowledge are not in the school, and that's what I think. Why, for example, I'm using communities, or I want to be part of different kind of communities in my working life, because that's my education. I'm learning all the time, and I need to find those people who know more than me, and there are lots of them around, but I just need to find them.
So that's a lifelong learning necessity of communities. I love it. I mean, it's true. It comes down to the fact that, you need to stay ahead of what's coming up. Lots of information is changing. And you're right. In universities, I heard that there is new programs coming out every 2 years, study programs. But how fast are universities to change it, or whoever? I mean, doesn't matter in which university or business school or college. But we have 2 questions, Arto. Thanks for all who are watching with us. Arto Sivonen is the community, builder, architect, and advertising expert and founder of Måndag in Helsinki. So Karina from Riga is asking, what do you think? Are we ready for this online community format, Arto?
Sure, we are. I mean, it's again quite a big question. I mean, what is online community format? But well, as ready as we can be. I mean, also we are learning. Everyone is learning all the time how to use it with the different purposes. But we need, of course, I think everyone been following the news. Like, we need a lot of guidelines for it. How to use different kind of online platforms, and why do we need them, and how do we use them? And we are still studying. I mean, if you think how long social media has been around, well, not end of the day, not too many years, and now we are learning how to be more like online instead of the face-to-face meetings related to business work. So I think that's also like interesting experiment now during the spring and maybe early summer with lots of people, how to do these things. What Kamilla actually is doing now.
To do what? Sorry.
To do this kind of different kind of seminars or workshops, run the workshops, or how to meet people or get to know the new people.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting moment right now to see what's happening.
And there's, of course, communities serve in a different time for different purposes. For example, Arto does, I know that you do live concerts in your apartment.
Yeah.
And so it's classical music evenings in your apartment, and that creates another community just to enjoy music, right? Then you have community to help a project that you supported, to help entrepreneurs, so small business owners. So that's part of you giving back to community, because you're together and you know that now you help them, but at some point they serve you with good products and services, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of a reciprocal give and take without being, calculating of it, but real like solidarity and, real human to human and Ubuntu philosophy. But I'm also quite interested. So how much can we manage to look at the screen, a square screen, and 10 meetings on Teams or Zoom, and then you need to just go out and give someone a hug, and you can't give that hug. But yeah, let's continue with the Jessie Christian. She's from Helsinki. So Jessie's asking, how do you bring fun into online communities? I mean, I wish there was Trevor Noah in every community, right?
I think that the first thing is also like treat people well. I mean, trying to, as Kamilla, as you said, we are in Finland, we are really bad at it. I mean, the writing things, because my answer is so too often yes or no, or maybe. And then instead of like, I should maybe say something nice first and say goodbye and thank people more. And I mean, there are a lot of ways how to use your words better way. And of course, you can fool around with different kinds of GIFs or animations or whatever, or videos or greetings, or I mean, that's fun. But this is a super good question, because normally in these online communities, and because we usually use them only in a super practical way to share the knowledge. But now it's not only that, because that's the only way. So I think we need to also try to find a way how to hug people online or support people online. And I think that's something what we need to actually think of.
Right.
Ways how to do it.
So maybe we have our listeners that can offer, because at this time of the hour, nobody has been in this exceptional situation. We don't know how to communicate with love and affection other than just those gifts. But even sending gifts can be quite, breaking somebody borders, like, oh, I don't usually do smileys, or, maximum a smiley, never a video gif or video message. So if any of the listeners, you have an idea what works for you to send that, message of community and feeling, appreciation, please let us in. I think I've learned from you, Arto, lately, what can you do to support your community wherever you live is to be kind online by, first of all, give a like to a Facebook page. That doesn't cost you anything, right? Write a good review to a restaurant or an entrepreneur or whoever is doing good services, right? What did you also say? Well, support your local cafe or restaurant if you can. What other things that Arto, that we can share? Well, write someone and say, I appreciate you and thank you being my community organizer. Who started your Telegram group or WhatsApp group or Instagram group? I mean, there's so many of those hanging loose, and I want to somehow promote that appreciation also in your company. There may be a company virtual coffee break that there's someone always doing those. We also had other questions to Arto. So Arto, imagine right now, if we look at my work at the moment, I work with international students. I try to make Helsinki as inclusive as possible, Finland to be open for people who look like me or who don't speak fluent Finnish, or, to promote the cultural diversity and richness. What do you say, what makes now an easy opening for people who don't have many connections, but they want to build and join some network? How do they start? And small talk is not so big in Finland. What would be the easiest way to approach people?
I think direct contacting. Just send a mail, send a message, call to the people. I'm trying to do that by myself. I haven't done that lately too often, but I used to do that a lot. Like if I read an article about someone from the press or somewhere, and then I just started to be super interested about someone and what that someone has said. I'm calling, and can I offer a cup of coffee or something? And I think that's a good way. And there's no hidden agendas here. You just sound super interesting, and I just want to talk, if that's okay. But I think most of the Finns are really okay with this. If someone is asking you to meet or talk and have a call, and so far no one has said no to me, at least. And I think most of the people they do the same thing. And I think just to go forward. Finns are not really good at it, but maybe some newcomers are better than we are, and we can learn from that.
Right. So we can complement each other in so many different ways.
Yes.
And when is it? I mean, when is it hard to be part of community? Do you have any examples?
Yes, I think that happens quite often with everyone. Of course, like if some community start to change, it's not that it was before. I'm not learning anymore. Anything is boring. People are not doing anything. I'm the only one who is acting. I mean, that's one. Or there are people who are coming into that community who I don't share the same way of thinking or same values. I'm out. And that's normal. And I think that's also really okay to go away from the communities. And that's something I think so many people are having a hard time to do that. So they just keep going with the groups which are not so interesting anymore. Even it's okay if you have some kind of friend-based communities from your high school years. but you're not really like-minded anymore. Okay, go away. I mean, you don't need to stay. And there's also like always new people who are like-minded with you.
Right.
I think it's pretty simple.
So to change also, I mean, as your values change, as your interests change, it's good. It's okay to let's say, okay, communities can come and go. Same with online as offline.
Of course, probably everyone is thanking you if you're leaving. I mean, if you are not anymore the person who should be there, so maybe you should leave them.
Right. We have another question from Aykut. I'll read it out. How social impact, meaning would affect or transform online interactions, communications? So what kind of paradigm changing in meaning of leadership of communities? That's actually our next question. I love this. Everyone is like asking similar questions. I love it. So how is this changing? And greetings to Istanbul, Aykut. Thank you. So the question from Aykut and also with mine is, how does this changes the understanding of leadership through community-based, culture, values of community? How do you see that gap happening? Because you make living on building communities in businesses, NGOs, universities, and also individuals.
What was the question again? I didn't really get it.
How could this, community thinking change the leadership?
I think it's the only way how to make a leadership nowadays. I think people have understood that finally. And before, I mean, you need to questionize yourself and your thoughts and be open with everything and transparent with your ideas and take people in with the decision making. There are lots of like really well done corporations, for example, nowadays who the organization is super flat. And they give a lot of freedom for their workers to make their own decisions, what they want to do, and they are doing super well. Like Reactor from Finland is a good example of this. Mm-hmm. They are famous about this, and people love to work in there. And I think that's the same thing. But I think even then you need some kind of guidance and some kind of rules how to go forward. And otherwise, I mean, nothing will happen because we need some kind of guidance. And for example, I'm working in the creative sector.
Yeah.
And I love guidance. I love to have some kind of rules what I need to follow. I love timetables, and otherwise it's not going to work. Everything's too wide.
Yeah.
So I think you need more like you need a mentors instead of the old school leaders. The mentors who are guiding you to go forward. In a gentle way.
Okay, so even communities need processes and rules of engagement. So
definitely.
Good to hear that it's not a loose, easygoing on inertia. It needs clear understanding, and it connects well to last week, our first episode with the volunteer management app. Asking, Johanna Mai from Estonia, she said, well, you need to, connect more volunteers to their causes by giving that very easy interface. What is it they want to volunteer and give their time, which community they want to support, how many hours, and then have that gamified way to say, hey, I'm part of this and I've done that task. And you get, that feeling of accomplishment.
It is. And I think sometimes it really depends what you're doing. But I have a couple of experiences, like, for example, building the massive demonstrations in a week or just helping some NGOs volunteer-based. And I think always is the most important thing is to find people the right thing, what they can do, what is their profession, and help them to use the valuable 15 minutes in the right moment. And I mean, if you need help from someone, professional help from someone, for example, if you can promise them and give me 15 minutes, 2 o'clock sharp, no one's late until 2:15, everyone is giving it to you, because everyone can give few minutes, but rarely people can give like a couple of months just going around. If it's the only thing and only goal for that community is just drinking beer and having fun and dancing, that's a different thing. But if you really have a clear task, what you need to kind of, what are your goals, and if you need to define your goals first, and then you need to reach your goals, then you need to have really strict rules and also follow the rules.
Right. So we need some still rules, and of course, it's maybe easier to arrange a community with when everyone has that common sense, right? But as we become more diverse and become more, how to say, global, international, everyone comes with their own understanding, and that requires that instilling of equality. You know, what is Nordic understanding of equality, trust? That makes Finland happy, right? That the trust is what makes Finns happy towards each other. But I mean, and I feel after almost 19 years living in the Nordics, I kind of get that. What is equality? That we all have the right to be here. We all have an ability to engage and utilize these freedoms. But how to explain to other people who don't live in Finland, who are still telling me like, it's so boring, it's hard, people are unapproachable, it's unapproachable, community. How to make that, how can we challenge that? And I needed to pick your brain on that.
Good question. I think we have a lot of things to do with this communal thinking in this country, I think, because we are not really, that's not none of our strengths. I think at the same time, I could say like, what is the superpower of Finland is honesty. And you can trust people, as you said. And once you reach the goal, and once you reach the group, or you can be part of a community, probably it's going to be quite easy to move forward. Mm-hmm. No one is bullshitting you, and I mean, and that's the good part. But first of all, I think we have in Finland, we have kind of really, we have our private space. As you know, it's not easy to get inside the people's homes here. It's also almost impossible. So right. you need to find the tools for that. For example, this living room concerts was one of them. And like and people are just playing, musicians are playing classical music, and we can use people living rooms to be their concert halls, so they can come super close to the music and they get to know each other after like a really emotional gig. And it works both ways. And newcomers who come to the house and also who owns the living room doesn't necessarily know who is coming, which is so important for Finns. Like not to be so secure all the time that something might happen.
Right. So you're really breaking the barriers and also like understanding what community can be, because they don't all need to know each other, but they will get to know each other.
Yes, and I think there are lots of other examples, like how we can find new kind of tools how to bring people together, and that's kind of the way how we need to work here, because we don't have kind of loose moments on the streets, like people just suddenly start to hang around together. Not all. So I think we need to build some kind of tools for it and action points for it.
Right. Well, from my side, it's of course there's tools like different like technical tools on the technology. There's tons of it, and from any Telegram again, or Facebook or Trello or Slack for that matter. But I feel for those people who are newcomers and or those who don't necessarily have that huge social capital, my way to gain that understanding that hey, we're equal and I trust. Surrounding, and I can still create stuff here and thrive was actually through community, where I didn't know that I could do certain things in Finland because of the understanding there is a big power distance between things, right? Same was in Denmark. And meeting people like you, Laura, who connected us, it becomes like, yes, we are adults, but we still can gain friends by common interests. And with common interests came common events, and through that you understand and prove your worth. So I would recommend, of course, with building a community or trying to create one as an individual, as a team, is to really try to stick to something that really makes you happy, and also that you have the energy to do. Doing volunteering is one thing. You can do giving mentoring, as you say, that even any community needs a mentor. So that could be a new role maybe for the future format. That could be future jobs, and say, how do you create better moderation? And Jessie's asking, maybe we need that person to come in and offer some different variety of engagement on humor, on connection, belonging, maybe meditation in any online community. We don't know yet, but I'm happy to touch upon these things, that we come back to idea that first is that you need to know what you want to do and what makes you happy, what makes you tickle, what makes your curiosity, scratch your curiosity. And then that is always easy in Finland to connect to other people, regardless of the rank. And then you reach out and you'll get the reply. And so, or ask someone in university or whatever network. For me also, actually, when we were how we met each other actually with Arto is through a co-working space. So co-working in Kuimahuone was really special because I never tried to be in a co-working space, and it was a small space, and all the people who are there, they were just like, we were one family. And I feel if every co-working space had that connector like you know, there is different co-working around, I think that could be the way to really become more at community building. Because I know for the fact Wall Street Journal published an article that Finland has now workshops to do small talk.
Right. Yeah.
There was a person teaching small talk in some companies and organizations. So in that sense, diversity is enriching both Finns and the people who are here. And that way, with the social capital, we promote community culture as the way to lead. And as I say it, it's better earning, better working, and better living. What do you say, Arto? Is that the way to deal with communities?
Quite well done, but I think one thing what comes to my mind is like this co-working space. What you mentioned. What do you think? What was the reason why we felt like we are like a family? Why?
Well, we had first of all, people were not afraid to talk, obviously, right? I mean, I have a member of kayaking club, but in kayaking club, they were just kayaking. They didn't talk much. But we had something to connect together. We just had like very time-bounded community stuff there. But in a co-working space, first of all, people were all in business, small business owners, curious people. It was a nice combination how you gathered them all under one roof. And also we had those Friday rituals. We had that Fika Fridays. You know, I think every Friday we had a selfie going on and say, you know, who's bringing little cakes and Runeberg cakes and pullas. And it was nice to say, okay, there's something on Friday. We come together and we do it. So small community rituals. And then we had parties. We could connect and we could trust each other.
I think the answer is the people and the values. You know, the people who were there, they like-minded people like you are and I am. Kind of, and also I think we've been opening a lot of co-working spaces in Helsinki recently, like a few years. But I think we still don't have any co-working space which is based on the values, and that's something what will come sooner or later. Because, for example, for me, the co-working space where I would love to work in the future, is the only thing is like the people are in the same side that I am. They have the same mission. With the work and the private life or life in general. And at the same time, probably we can use our expertise. We can share our knowledge easier if we are really sharing our values, and our values, not the money.
Right.
And so the most of the like old school entrepreneurs and companies or entrepreneur NGOs are kind of their main value is the money. And that's why are there communities? Maybe they are some kind of, but I think more stronger communities are the communities always with the values. And I think that's still missing here. And we have our small community then with a value-based community. I think that's why it's really, really nice. And I think that's something what we need to do better in the future in different kind of co-working spaces around the world, not only here.
So the suggestion would be is anyone who's building a community, physical in a co-working space or in a company or online, is to have a purpose and values.
Yeah.
Purpose and values, and people will follow, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you are again, and you need to know yourself. I mean, if your goal is to make money as soon as possible, maybe the value is not so important. But if your purpose for your work is to make a change in the world, I mean, then you need another change makers, and you need another people who kind of want to do that with you. Yeah. So you really know to do what is the aim and the goal and the purpose for working and running business.
Right. So still one thing is to have a purpose and values. You still need to have those people who live those values through behaviors.
Yes, and also I highly believe that, and we are one human being. We are not like one person which is working and another person who is having a private life, which is totally different. I mean, that's also like thinking from the golden 80s. I think we are one human being, and I think that's changing also now, because there are lots of like guys, let's say LinkedIn, what is like used to be the most boring platform for money talking. But now there are a lot of really good discussions going on, because so many CEOs and marketing manager, HR people, or sales people, they found that, okay, actually, what I'm thinking personally, it matters what I'm doing when I'm working, and my tool is my work and my company. Maybe I can use the tool. Yeah. And slowly this is changing, and people thinking like, okay, it's really okay to have an opinion even inside working hours.
Right.
It's not different. We don't have different lives.
Right. So where you decide to do it is really up to you. Of course, LinkedIn is great. I recommend it also to all internationals and students to start building their digital footprint and digital presence. And LinkedIn seems to be one of the most effective tools to also be that. There are small groups there, but I think, you just need to figure out which interest groups you want to be part of. But we're over time. It's so nice talking to you, Arto. We spoke for hours before about these issues. And thank you for joining.
Thank you.
What is the, at the end, what is your suggestion or vision on communities right now and in the future? Anything that comes to mind?
I think we need to just to be more open with our ideas as soon as possible, what we are thinking, and if we have ideas, that to share the ideas as soon as possible. Put it online, call to the people. Don't be afraid that someone is going to steal them, or don't afraid that it's bad one. That's why you need to release the idea, because you need some other people like you. And I think most of them like movements been starting like that. And the first idea wasn't so great one maybe, but at least you find the people. And then you start to generate the idea together. So
that's right.
I think share ideas as soon as possible, and call direct to the people or send a message. Don't hesitate.
Right. So be courageous to reach out. Dare to share your idea, or find a person who can adopt your idea. I like that, Arto. And thank you, Natalia. We have another community organizer from Tampere Ambassadors. She's amazing. Natalia is great. And so making lots of change and energy there. So I want to thank you, Arto. And my point is that we together we rise in unity. And that at some point in time after coronavirus, it would be great to have a community appreciation day. We don't have a holiday or nothing in our calendars that marks communities, and I think we should strive for it. So #RiseInUnity, if you have any ideas how to promote that, how to really support this at the moment, and how community serves you, please reach out, and I'll be happy to share that idea forward. Thanks, Arto.
Thanks.
Stay safe, and see you on the other side.
See you.
Cheers. Thank you all for listening, and exactly, #RiseInUnity. Bye-bye.